Welcome once again back to the lab. This is your old Professor Pilk, and of course today we are back to talk about Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, but I'm sure, based on what this video is titled, most of you are probably pretty new to the channel, maybe even Pokemon Scarlet and Violet itself. Let me just say welcome. If you guys enjoy the content, make sure you guys consider subscribing, and if this was helpful, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. Just helps me and the channel out quite a bit. So, let's jump in. That's enough shameless self-promotion. Basically, to get 5-star raids, there's a couple ways to go about this. But to acquire your own 5-star raids, you already have to have beaten Victory Road, which is beating all the gyms, beating the Elite Four, same thing it is in every Pokemon game out there. Starfall Street, that is basically our, it's the Team Star event, basically this game's equivalent of Team Rocket, sort of. Just, you always have that adversary team that you've got to take on. Then, you have to do Path of Legends and The Way Home, which is basically taking on all the Titans. And then the way home is you're traversing through the Great Crater of Paldea, where you meet the Paradoxmon and things like that. Once you have all 4 of those completed, then in the overworld, you'll be able to go out to your map and you'll be able to see 5-star raids. Now, unfortunately, there's not a really great way to tell what's a 5-star raid and what's a, 3, 4, even a 2-star raid. But in the current event, you will have a bunch of these raids over here that are kind of shimmering like this. If you're looking for a shimmering dragon raid, it's either a dragon Terra type Blissey or, like the one I'm sitting on over here, it's Rayquaza. Unfortunately, there are some dragon Terra type Blissies, and it's very, very, very difficult to tell the two apart. But, most of the time, it'll be Rayquaza. It's just a little frustrating with the 5 stars, but it is what it is at the end of the day. I can't sugarcoat it. That's just the reality. Now, if you played offline for a really long time, you've already beaten the game and all that stuff, and you haven't seen these shimmering raids, it's because you've not updated your game to the news. Now, this is the part that will unlock these for you, so you can go in and play them without needing Nintendo Online or anything like that. And that's actually really simple. Now, I'll minimize myself here so we can do this real fast. There, now I'm not obstructing the screen. So let's go ahead and go into our main menu here, hit X, and then you're going to want to hit the right bumper, the button on top of the controller. You'll see this communication start, and now it will say you are in online mode. Now, the downside of this is you do have to have internet access to make this happen, but you don't necessarily have to be connected to like anything special. You can go to like public access Wi-Fi, take your Switch on the road, connect once. Then you're going to go down here into Poke Portal, and then you're going to go down here to Mystery Gift, check Poke Portal News, and it'll tell you, it'll update your Switch. Now, here's the deal, guys. If you haven't done this yet, you've beaten everything, but you've never updated, this could take a minute or two, but once you've done that, then when you go back here to the overworld, you will have access to those raids that I was showing you before. So you'll be able to go back out here and find, let's go and zoom out a little bit here. See all these shimmering raids. There's a steel type, there's a water type, there's a flying type, a couple of grounds up here. Those are all Blissey raids. The dragon types are either dragon type Blissey or Rayquaza, like I said before. I just happen to have found this Rayquaza one. Most of the time they're pretty close to the Pokemon centers, but that's not always a guarantee. So it might take you a minute or two to find it. But once you find your raid, you come in here, you'll see the outline of Rayquaza right there. If you can't tell the difference between Blissey and Rayquaza, I don't know what to tell you on that one. But it's pretty obvious. So once you've got your Rayquaza raid, now you need some Pokemon that can beat it. But beforehand, for those of you that maybe have to run this offline, I'm going to show you a bunch of Pokemon that can do this solo and give you some hints and tips where you can just do this on your own. You don't necessarily have to be online. But you can run this raid multiple times. You can run this raid as many times as you want, and the rewards are really well worth farming. So that's pretty much the main event right there. That's how you get everything. That's how you unlock these raids. But if you want to farm the raid, my recommendation is go back into the Poke Portal. Now, once again, you will need to be online for this to work. So let's say you had to go to public Wi-Fi to update everything. This probably won't be an option for you, and I'll show you a third potential option here in a moment. But this is kind of the best way to do it. Go into the Terra raids, and once again, if you are online, and it's going to show you a bunch of raids that are currently available, other people that are looking for people to raid with them. Check that out. There's a Rayquaza raid right there. Plus, there's a bunch of other raids down here. Some of these are for the DLC, but all these up here are pretty much going to be for the other main raids running. There's Blissey, there's Rayquaza. Like I said, pretty obvious difference between them. But I could actually go in here to this Rayquaza raid. I'm not going to, because then I disrupt somebody else that's actually trying to get in and run a Pokemon and kind of do your thing. Now, what Pokemon could you use for this raid? Well, that's the fun part here. I've got several different Pokemon here that you can use, all of which are basically available in the core version of the game. Number one, I really, really, really like Tinkaton. She is super fun. Now, if you don't have the DLC, I have her with a Stellar Terra. If you don't have the DLC, a Fairy Terra type would be just fine. You can actually change Terra types by, and I'm sure most people kind of already know this, but if you go over here to, where is it, Medali, there's the ramen shop in Medali. If you bring the chef 50 Terra shards, you can change the Terra type of any Pokemon. So, basically, because I've been farming the DLC, I actually have the Stellar Terras, but if you don't have the DLC, you won't have access to that, and you don't have to have the DLC or even beat the DLC, let alone, I guess I should say, in order to access these. So, a Fairy Terra type instead of Stellar would be just fine here. She's still very doable. What you're going to do is you're going to outfit your Tinkaton with Play Rough, Baby Doll Eyes, Sword Stance, and as maybe a last resort Terra Blast, just because Play Rough is only like a 90% accuracy move. It doesn't fail often, but it can fail. You probably don't have to have your Pokemon EV trained. If you don't know what that is, that's fine. I do have mine EV trained. It just allows your Pokemon to do a little bit more damage. I would, however, recommend, if you're building this as a physical Pokemon, to look for an Adamant Mint. So go up here to your bag, go to where you have all your candies, go down here to your mints. Okay, an Adamant Mint will upgrade or will increase your physical attack at the detriment to your special attack. But since your Pokemon's not using special moves anyway, that is what it is. That is a pretty easy thing. You probably should have those if you've been playing the game, and then you can apply that to your Pokemon, and they will. You'll see these little arrows here change. Mine says attack up, special attack down, because I've given her an Adamant Mint. I think initially she was Serious Nature. So by applying that Adamant Mint, she now has these attributes. So the little red arrow will tell you which attribute is up. The blue one will tell you is down. So that's just a little modifier there. My Pokemon is level 100, as you can kind of see there. I would highly recommend getting your Pokemon to level 100. It makes this a lot easier. You don't have to. Rayquaza is only a level 75, but I'm telling you right now, if you are anything below level 100, it makes this that much more difficult. So I know that's a big ask, but you get enough XP candies, probably save those XP candies to upgrade one of these units that I'm going to show you today. That would be my biggest recommendation in this. Make sure those Pokemon are level 100. When you get to 7-star raids, it's completely required. 5-star raids, not so much, but I'll show you here basically how you can solo this event with all 3 of these Pokemon. In fact, I'll do that right now. Number 1, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do it this way because it's a little bit easier. I'm going to go ahead and give this Shell Bell over here to Tinkaton. I really like the Shell Bell. It's a great item. Essentially, let's go ahead here and do a quick solo raid. So the Shell Bell essentially is going to allow you the opportunity to... I'm going to turn the music down ever so slightly. There we go. The Shell Bell will essentially allow you to heal every time you're dealing damage. Now, I guess the downside here is I don't have anybody that is going to... I don't have anybody with Intimidate, but I do have Arbovia, who apparently got knocked out by Dragon Ascent. That's crazy. He'll eventually put down Grassy Terrain, and it'll give us a little bit of healing. I like to run this with either Tauros, Staraptor, or Arcanine, because they will inflict Intimidate and knock down its attack. Instead, I'm just going to use Baby Doll Eyes and knock down its attack. Pretty easy, pretty straightforward, and that just makes sure you don't take a huge amount of damage. Now, I can't really buff myself up yet, so I'm going to go ahead and do Baby Doll Eyes one more time. And I do want to do some attacks. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit him. Terra Blast won't really do anything at the moment. And I don't kind of want to yet, so I'm going to do that. Ooh, he's burned. Great. Burning also has his attack stat, so we shouldn't really take any damage here. And I can build myself up to the point at which I can terrestrialize pretty quick. Now I've taken a little bit of damage there, but nothing too major. And as you can see, the grassy terrain is healing me. Excellent. He's at a nullifier stats, and then we can start buffing. There we go. Now he is going to take away, yeah, when he puts his barrier up, that burn is gone, so he's going to be at full power here. I'm going to go ahead and do a Swords Dance and start building myself up. You only need 3 Swords Dances to be at max power, and that's really where you want to be. Okay, he's going to start hurting, and he's going to nullify his stat changes in a minute. Let's go ahead and do one more Swords Dance. We're still not in the danger zone. Downside is with his barrier up, we can't do Baby Doll Eyes anymore, so we've got to be a little bit cautious about this. But once we're built up enough, it's really not going to be a big deal. I can actually do my 3rd Swords Dance pretty carefully, or pretty safely here. Let's do that. So now we're literally at max power. We can't get any stronger with the exception of terrestrializing. And now he's done some serious damage, so we do want to terrestrialize. But yeah, it's fine. See, and now he's going to be at max power. Or, well, not max power, but he's going to be back to neutral again. So we're going to need to do some healing. So I'm going to do a Play Rough. Didn't seem like it was very substantial yet, but wait till we terrestrialize. Watch what happens when we terrestrialize. Maybe. Oh, nice. She avoided the hurricane. That's great. Very handy. We'll do another Play Rough. Yeah, it didn't feel good, but it definitely wasn't. This is the difference between running this with a level 100 and running this with a level 75. That probably would have hurt a level 75 pretty bad. Now I've got my terrestrialization right here. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the R bumper, and I'm going to hit a Play Rough. Now watch the amount of damage we produce here. This is the big difference. I might only need 2 of these. Not to break his terrestrialization, not to break his shield. I might only need 2 of these just to end him. But let's see. Maybe 3. Maybe 3. Let's see how much damage she does here. Because I also haven't lowered his defense stats, so. Oh, that didn't do nearly as much damage as I thought. That's all right. Look how much healing we got out of that. I keep forgetting I haven't lowered his defensive stat. Normally I run this with someone that lowers defensive stat too, so. That's all good. We'll do another one. There we go. Let me double check. Because there is a point at which he does a second nullification of your stats. Let's make sure we are at max power, because I feel like she's underperforming a little bit. Maybe my expectations are a bit too high. Okay, his negative effects are gone. No, we're at max power. I just feel like we should be doing more. That's okay. And let's see how much this hurts. Yeah. I really feel like this should be doing more damage. I'll be honest with you, but I'm so used to maybe some of the other Mon that that just are insane powerhouses. Let's do one more and see what happens here. There we go. That's the kind of damage I was expecting to see. So one more of these and he's done. Pretty easy, pretty straightforward. And like I said, that Shell Bell heals you up. Let's try another Mon, though. All right, so next up, and I want to emphasize here that Tinkaton can be acquired in any version of the game. She is in several different places all over the map. She is the fully evolved form of Tinkatink, so if you've got one of those, evolve them up. Super worthwhile. Next one I'm going to talk about here is Cetitan. I adore Cetitan. Super fun Mon. And once again, we're gonna have to outfit all of these builds with a Shell Bell, just because it's the easiest, fastest way to handle this. Because, like I said, as you're doing damage, you're healing. Cetitan is once again a level 100. I have him set up with Avalanche, Belly Drum, which is a great move. You'll see what I mean by that here in a minute. Yawn and Snowscape. Now, his stats aren't really the best as compared to Tinkaton. Tinkaton seems to have much better stats, but Cetitan can still handle his own. So even though that defense is a little bit lower, notice that HP stat. His HP stat at 516 is crazy, and Snowscape is actually really good because that's going to add a lot of defense to our unit. So let's go ahead and jump in here and check this one out. First things first, notice also that I gave him the Adamant Mint, so he's where he was normally a relaxed nature. He now acts like an adamant nature, so he's got attack up and special attack down. I did do a little bit of EV training, but he's definitely not maxed out by any stretch of the imagination. So this is probably a better representation of what like your first raid mon probably could look like. I haven't really messed with abilities much. Most of these guys don't have abilities that have a huge factor in this, but the next mon we talk about will. So really, he's got Slush Rush, which boosts Pokemon speed stat in snow. Snowscape actually, I think actually will affect that. I think it actually will affect that. He'll be a little bit faster, but his speed isn't really that great. So we'll have to see what happens when we go in there. So let's go ahead and head into the raid. So hopping into this raid here, who are our partner mon? Belly Bolt. I don't like Belly Bolt. I want to get my Yawn off, and there's a likelihood he might paralyze instead. Since you can't inflict multiple status moves, it does kind of work out to be a little bit of a detriment. Late game, sure, he can do his paralysis all he wants, but we do want to turn 3 Yawn, so let's see what happens here. I'm going to go ahead and open up with a Snowscape. That'll cut our damage in half. Or cut his damage in half, at least to us. Doesn't really affect anybody else on the field, but it'll affect us. That'll be nice. All right, and we'll go ahead and do an early Avalanche. Just get a little bit of healing out here. Nice. You don't want to do too much damage, because he can actually put his barrier up early. But it gives us a decent amount of healing here. Oh! We did do too much damage. That's truly unfortunate. That's okay. That is what it is. I thought without a crit he wouldn't do that, but it is what it is. Since he's done that, Yawn is no longer really a factor. We'll go ahead and Belly Drum. Now, we are really low in health, and our speed is down a bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and Cheer Heal. I would really prefer to have the Yawn up, because that literally gives us a turn to do the Belly Drum and then to do the Avalanche and get some healing out. Unfortunately, not really an option in this situation, but that's okay. But there's that paralysis. And that could help. That could help a lot. So let's see how this plays out. I'm not worried about extreme speed. We can heal that pretty easily. So now we're just basically going to do Avalanche until we can Terrastalize. A lot of damage to that. Was that a critical hit? It was not a critical hit. That was a good hit, though. We'll go ahead and do another Avalanche. We're a little bit in the danger zone. I don't like where we're at. Oh, of course a critical Hurricane. Why wouldn't a Hurricane crit? Oh. A move with a 30% chance to miss had managed to crit. That's just, of course. That's just... That shouldn't have... If that's happening, you just reset the raid. By the way, guys, you will probably not be successful in your first run through these raids. They can be pretty tricky. So the reason why I say you really do want to be at level 100, so you are tanking hits like I am. Like I said, that Belly Drum is kind of a gamble too, but it's a gamble that usually pays off pretty well. Let's do another Avalanche. Great. Okay, so that Hurricane missed. That's fantastic. They owe us several missed Hurricanes, if I'm honest. Okay, and now we can Terrastalize. So let's do that. Let's Terrastalize, and let's drop our Avalanche now. All right. Get him. That's what I was expecting out of Tinkaton. So, you kind of see where I'm going. One more of those, and he is through. But I want to show you one more Mon. Now, before I show you this third build, I will say your box art legendaries can work for this. They are a little bit of a gamble. And unfortunately, I don't have the right Terra type on this one. If I was building this one for the raid, I would do a Dragon Terra type. Dragon Terra is going to help you out way, way, way more than anything else would. And I wouldn't run Never Melt Ice on him. That's just on him because I swapped it from another mod. Obviously, you want to do Shell Bell. But move-wise, Screech to lower his defensive stat, Sword Stance to increase your attack stat. Dragon Claw could be your main DPS, but once you're in a state where you're terastallized, Outrage should finish him off. I know Outrage is crazy because after turn 2 or 3, you will get you will become confused. But the honest answer is, if you're fully terastallized and you have 3 Sword Stances and at least 2 or 3 Screeches out, 2 Outrages should be enough to take him out because that is a power 120 move. Now, obviously mine's level 100. Once again, because he is a physical attacker, I went with an Adamant Mint. I did EV train this one a little bit, though his EV is a little bit messy. I do need to fix that EV a little bit. But with physical attack all the way up, trust me, this is completely doable. The big downside of this is you might be able to take 1 Dragon Pulse, but I don't think you can take 2. If he uses Dragon Pulse more than once, I think you're going to regret the maneuver. But it is an option for the box art legendaries. Now, Miraidon, pretty much the same thing. Shell Bell, Dragon Terra. I just built him for a different raid. But move-wise, you would use Metal Sound to lower his special attack stat, Calm Mind to increase your special attack stat. Basically the same thing we had with Screech and Sword Stance. Dragon Pulse is going to be your main DPS, and you could use Reflect, kind of like Cetitan used Snowscape to lower the incoming attacks. Obviously, like I said, I've got him all. Actually, I don't have a mint in him. Ooh, well, let's do that real quick so I can show you that. I do have him pretty well EV trained, but I'm shocked I don't have any mints on him. So he is currently a quirky nature. So check this out. If I go over here, and I really want a Modest Mint. There we go. Because Modest Mint will increase my special attack, lower my physical attack. And since he is a special attacker, we'll go ahead and go down here and use it on Miraidon. Okay. And we back out here. You will now notice that his attack is now down and his special attack is up. So that's how you use the mints. But neither here nor there, the final mon I want to show you, probably the most unassuming mon in this whole thing, is Azumarril. I absolutely adore Azumarril. Now, I'm sure you're wondering why I have Akira Black down here chilling. You can pull mon in from Pokemon Home. Let's say you've got some old, like, high-level Pokemon in an older game, especially, right now I'm transferring all my Pokemon from Gens 1 through 7 because, Pokemon Bank's going to close here shortly. I pulled him up just recently to give him a shot, and you can actually use some of those techniques you've learned from running this, bring those old Pokemon in, upgrade those old Pokemon. Not every Pokemon, unfortunately, is compatible with this game, but a whole lot are. I think there's, 600-700 in total that work in this game. So you have a wealth of Pokemon that you could choose from your older games. You just have to import those through Pokemon Home. I've got a whole video on the channel how to do that, and I will be updating that here really soon. So, Azumarril is probably the most unassuming build here. But with a Shell Bell, and as you can see, with Belly Drum, this guy is absolutely just insanely deadly. Once again, we've got the Adamant Mint out here, but I'm sure you're looking at him going, but his attack stat's kind of abysmal. His defense stat's kind of abysmal, but check this out. This is where I talk about the abilities generally aren't that big of a deal, but this Pokemon with huge power is a game changer. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. So, I'm going to break this in here because I got into the middle of battle and I realized that my Pokemon was not the right Terra type. So we're going to go ahead and change a Terra real quick, and I'll show you how this is done. So we fly over to Medali. We go here to the ramen shop. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go up to the chef. And we're going to change to a fairy type Terra. Okay? We're going to actually feed this to our Azumarril. Excellent. And now, oops. And now, if we go into Azumarril, you will see that he is now a fairy type. I cannot believe that was such a crazy oversight. Now, let's get back into the battle, shall we? Alright, so this time, now that we have the right Terra type, and I believe we were talking about huge power, actually. So the main thing with huge power is that it's going to double... We have Star Raptor. Great. Star Raptor is going to inflict Intimidate and cut down his attack power, which is awesome. So, huge power is going to double our attack. So, essentially, you'll see here in a moment, but attacks will hit way harder than you expect out of this Pokemon. It's crazy. It really actually is. So, first things first, we're going to open up with a Tickle. Now, what I like to do is I like to put a Play Rough in there in the middle. There we go. This will lower his attack and defensive stat. The downside is if you kind of do it the other way around. If you do a 2 Tickles and then try to do a Play Rough, you might run out of time because your other Pokemon are doing too much damage. Now, I want to emphasize that's with 1 Tickle, no upgrades to our attack stat. So he's already a major threat to this Mon. There we go. Ah, I didn't get my second Tickle off. It happens. Unfortunately, it happens. It is kind of... You could do 2 Tickles and then Play Rough. But once again, you might not get that Play Rough off, which I kind of went for the healing before I Belly Drum. So you could either do Tickle, Play Rough, Tickle, or 2 Tickles and a Play Rough. Either way, turn 3 might not happen. Now, I have had up to 4 turns. I really have. But you want to make sure you're healed before you go in here to do Belly Drum. Okay? Now that we got that Belly Drum off, let's go ahead and hit him with a Play Rough. Hurricane's going to hurt, but not enough to take us down. Oh, man, whoever froze him is... Oh, our play... We had that 10%. Oh, man. Oh, that 10% went off to miss the Play Rough while he was frozen. And he immediately thawed. That's just bad luck. That's tragically bad luck. Oh my gosh. Okay. The Tickle is gone, unfortunately. Star Raptor's also gone. Good grief. Let's go and do another Play Rough. Okay, good. The Hurricane didn't hurt as bad that time. There we go. We really want to Terrastalize. That's what we're really looking for in this. Where's our... Okay, there we go. Now, a Hurricane might take us out. I've got to see how this plays out. Hopefully he sticks with Extreme Speed or Earthquake. I'm kind of risking it with this. Let's see how this goes. Now, I want to emphasize, before he hits him, remember, Tickle is worn off. We do not have the defense down anymore. Oh, perfect. Excellent. Excellent, excellent. I would have also taken Dragon Pulse because it will not affect us. That is without the defense down. So imagine being able to hit him with his defense is still up. This is the second craziest build for this. Komodo is the only one that's actually, I found better, though slightly less reliable. One more Play Rough, and he is done. And the rewards are totally worth the farm. Completely worth farming. You can get Azumarril basically at the very beginning of this game. Mine has actually been imported from, I think, Crystal, I want to say. Only 2 bitter Herbas? I was hoping for better Herbas, but that's fine. I just used 2 bitters anyway for a for a sandwich. So, lots of Urban Mysticas, lots of XP candies, lots of Dragon Terra shards. And let me just say this, the 7 stars pay out even better. So there you guys go. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. Good luck to you. Let me know if this helped you guys out in the comment section down below, and I'll be back with more soon.